Good afternoon. Welcome to this edition of the Coal Scene. Joining me today is Mr. Jeff Herholt, who's the director of the West Virginia Division of Energy. We're going to be examining a wide range of energy topics here today, from coal to our power distribution. We're also going to be examining and talking about a new publication from the West Virginia Division of Energy, and it's entitled West Virginia's Energy Blueprint. It's a profile of the state's overall energy system. The state's energy portfolio features coal, natural gas. We'll learn some more about the state's output of renewable energy, and also its various distribution systems. Jeff, thanks so much for coming by.
Certainly. Enjoy it.
I've had an opportunity to just kind of leaf through the booklet, and what an impressive resource and collection of information about the state's energy system.
Very good, very good.
We're gonna go through some of the main components of the publication here today, but before we get into the state's energy blueprint, why don't you bring us up to date just briefly of the West Virginia Division of Energy, and maybe its overall goal or some of the programs you're involved with?
Sure. The West Virginia Division of Energy was created in 2007 by an act of the legislature. We have three broad charges really to advance energy resources in West Virginia, be they fossil, renewable, or energy efficiency. Our energy plan is termed the West Virginia Opportunities Document. We identify in each of those three sectors opportunities that could lead to increased job opportunities in the state.
Excellent. And I know it seems like every year, maybe it's only been a couple of occasions where the legislature's added to your responsibilities.
Yes.
There's a lot, I know every legislative session there's a lot of discussion of energy. And likewise, there's just a lot of discussion and ideas on how we can do more by way of energy.
Sure.
And the production of this report, if you will, is part of that discussion and ongoing dialogue.
Yeah, in the 2010 legislative session, Senate Bill 518 gave us additional responsibilities regarding this document. Specifically, the legislature asked for a document demonstrating the significance of West Virginia energy resources to the eastern United States. The legislature was concerned that perhaps people don't appreciate the significance of West Virginia as an energy supplier.
I know we're a major exporter of energy, and we send a lot of coal, for instance.
Sure.
We send a lot more coal out of the state than what we consume within the state. And I believe the same is true for electricity and some of our other energy
Sure.
that we produce here as well.
Right. We consume roughly a quarter, or 25% of the coal that's produced here. Of the electricity we produce, roughly two-thirds is exported. And of the natural gas we produce, roughly 50% is exported.
And when we talk about exporting coal or energy from the state, we're talking about domestically and internationally.
Right. We have significant markets for metallurgical coal that's used to make steel, and we're now having increasing interest in fuel coal being exported from the state.
When you say fuel coal?
Coal for making electricity.
Okay, steam coal, fuel coal.
Steam coal, yes.
I think the number of states that we export coal to is very close to the same number of foreign destinations that receive West Virginia coal. I think it's 20-some states we send coal to domestically. Then there's 20-some foreign countries that we export coal to as well.
Right. Yeah, one of the charts in the energy blueprint depicts the states and the specific counties that are receiving West Virginia coal.
Okay. And with respect to the East Coast, is it fair to say that we we power a large portion of the overall energy needs up and down the East Coast.
Sure, I mean, there are only 2 states in the country that don't use any coal at all, and they're Rhode Island and Vermont. And the rest of the New England states, rest of the East Coast states do or have received coal from us.
Okay. And it seems like I saw somewhere, or perhaps read, that there's a correlation in the cost of energy from state to state based on how much coal's involved in that energy mix.
Right, and there's a page in the chart, and what you see on the screen now is an actual depiction of where West Virginia coal goes to see the difference between 2008 to 2010. It is interesting, you know, the distance that our coal ends up going to its ultimate consumption point.
Why don't we go through some of the other? I think we're prepared to show some of the other pages or charts that's in the Blueprint magazine.
Okay.
I know we've West Virginia is the second leading coal producing state behind the state of Wyoming.
Right. There's West Virginia, Wyoming, Kentucky, and Pennsylvania. Admittedly, our coal is like 12,500 BTUs per pound, British thermal units per pound.
Okay.
Well, Wyoming's coal is like 8,000 BTUs per pound. So when you say exporter, certainly they're the first in tonnage, but are they really the first in the quality or the actual energy content exported?
Within these 2 pages, you know, I note that that not only are we a major coal producing state, and of course everyone reads about or hears about the expansion of natural gas production through drilling the Marcellus shale.
Right.
But we also we produce a little bit of hydrogen. We produce some wind power here in the state of sizable proportion.
Yeah, 96% of our electricity is generated with coal. The other 4% are renewables. Now that's hydro and wind. We have 560 megawatts of wind capacity in the state, 350 megawatts of hydro. That hydro, though, we have an additional 500 megawatts that's being sited now. I mean, it will ultimately have more hydro than we have wind in the state. But we have, you know, one of the things that's really advantageous to the state of West Virginia is our proximity to eastern markets. You know, during the say early days of state energy portfolios, some states have portfolios that require that a certain percent of their electricity comes from renewable energy. West Virginia is in a really unique position to capitalize on that because a lot of eastern states do not have the capability to generate much renewable energy. So we're seeing a lot of, you know, we saw significant investment in wind in West Virginia to accommodate out-of-state portfolios. Admittedly, we lost the coal markets because of portfolios, but we're gaining those markets back through our own generation of renewable electricity.
Last year we saw production go down just a little bit. Prices are also beginning to fall, and I know it's having an effect on our tax coffers. Severance tax collections, I think the projections have been revised because we're experiencing both a decrease in production and also a decrease in the pricing of that commodity. So we are seeing after unprecedented high levels of taxation, fiscal year 2010, fiscal year 2011, I believe the estimates for fiscal year 2012 have been lowered to accommodate.
But certainly the severance tax is very important to the state of West Virginia. I think it kind of maxed out around $500 million a year. It's a very large number.
That's an amazing number. I think between coal and electrical generation, those two taxes combined for 60-some% of all business taxes that are generated
Right.
or collected from within the state.
Right. Well, we have 14,000 megawatts of electric generated from coal in the state. And we are a major exporter. We're one of the few that actually makes a positive contribution to the grid. Overall, the state of Pennsylvania has the most significant contribution to the grid, followed by Alabama, and third is the state of West Virginia. To have West Virginia on a nationwide basis being the third largest contributor to the operation of our electrical grid is very significant. Now, on the other side of the coin, you have dependent states that have to import electricity. So, number one among those dependent states is the state of California, followed by Virginia, then followed by Florida, and Maryland is in that list as well. These states come up when you hear discussions of solar energy, how states are promoting, incentivizing solar energy development. It isn't necessarily that these states, have a fixation on solar. It's that they need additional electricity. They have not fostered the development of base electric plants. So they're going after their current in a different way.
So their consumption is much higher than their energy productivity from within the state's boundaries at the current time.
That's correct.
It's interesting that West Virginia ranks third in overall exportation. West Virginia is also, and is there a correlation with those states that finished with balanced budgets last year versus those states that rank high on the
when you look at what happened in West Virginia as far as energy uses during the recession, what you saw is our industrial sector had significant decreases in energy use, just as industrial sectors had in all states. But everything else pretty much held firm. Energy producing states had the ability to weather those economic storms.
Interesting. I think there's not congratulations, but just some recognition to to the mining industry that's in order here, and to coal miners. It's because of the work that they do that's allowed West Virginia to be fairly healthy here the last couple of years, while the entire country's been experiencing some financial difficulties.
Certainly, coal has been a blessing to the economic well-being in the state of West Virginia.
And we mentioned last year that there was we saw a decrease in coal production. Of course, the mild winter, the unprecedented mild winter that we experienced has a lot to do with that. There's a lot of coal on the ground. And we're seeing a lot of belt tightening out there within the industry because prices are falling. Some of those markets are stagnant or being lost. We've talked on other shows about a lot of the permitting problems and some of the particularly EPA regulation and requirements being imposed on the industry. Seems like there's a little bit of a perfect storm that's taking place out there right now.
I think internal to West Virginia, we're very sensitive about our nation's energy needs. That sensitivity is not shared by everybody. We don't always appreciate the significance of having a competitive energy source.
Stockpiles. There's a lot of coal on the ground.
I understand.
I heard here recently that there's close to 200 million tons of coal on the ground in this country. And you go by stockpiles either at power plants or at preparation plants, and you just see a lot of coal on the ground. And I also understand that we're seeing the gross product in the economy being down a little bit in China and India at the current time. I think those economies are still very healthy, but they're not performing in double-digit numbers as they were on an annual basis throughout the last decade or so.
Any story that you read about the economic development in China amazes you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is so phenomenal. I mean, one article I read talked about only 1 in 10 Chinese persons buying a car requires an auto loan. The others have the money to finance it themselves as a family. How many of our families can go out and just buy a car?
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I think I read recently where China's consumption of coal has increased by a factor of 2.5 times here over the last decade.
Right.
While our country here, or the United States, overall consumption of coal has decreased just slightly, or maybe has been about even. But China has increased its coal use, fastest growing energy source in the world.
But so, when you see in the store and you buy something, a Chinese product, they are competitive. Mm-hmm. One of the things we need to appreciate is that we need to make competitive products, and affordable fuels goes a long way in making that product competitive.
I had the opportunity to visit China. I went on a trade mission a couple years ago, and I was struck by the comments. A plant engineer, they had a cold liquids plant. It was prototype, and the plant engineer was asked what they were doing with the CO2, mm-hmm. where they were pumping it underground through a carbon sequestration program, or what they were doing, and the response was, we're not doing anything with it. We don't necessarily view it as a pollutant here. But he said, more importantly, we're watching how the United States handles this never-ending quest of trying to balance environmental regulation and air quality with energy production. And he said, we're watching the United States, and that's when cap and trade was a real hot and heavy item over here. And he says, it's pretty obvious you're experimenting with trying to find that right balance. And when the United States gets it right, we'll implement, environmental standards to deal with the CO2 at that point in time. And I thought that was very telling.
Sure. I mean, some of the early estimates are that carbon capture and sequestration could add $50 to
mm-hmm.
the cost, $50 per ton to the mm-hmm. cost of making electricity, which is a substantial investment, let's say.
The other thing that this gentleman said, which has stuck with me over the last couple years, he says, as modernized as it appears here in downtown Shanghai or Beijing, he says you have to understand, there's still a lot of provinces within the country of China that do not have electricity. Wow. He says it's truly third world in a lot of the remote rural areas, and he said it's really a matter of a policy of the government controlling China, that until they get a light bulb, until they get electricity to improve the quality of life and the lifestyle and the health of the country, they're just not going to be all that concerned with, striking or achieving a quality of the environment like we enjoy here in the United States. It is understandable.
Understandable, yes.
And so you hear that, China's where we were 20, 30, 40 years ago, and that's exactly right. I mean, that's where they are.
And you mentioned the discussion of the cold liquids in China. We're certainly hopeful that the project that's going on in Mingo County will continue to move ahead. And that's the 3 million tons a year project to make 18,000 barrels of gasoline a year.
I think I read within the blueprint that we are still importing a lot of our petroleum products here into West Virginia.
Man.
And it seems like the coal to liquid plants in Mingo County, once it comes online, will go a long way towards
Sure.
you know, creating an offset of the balance of trade there, and also will increase markets for West Virginia coal,
Yeah, I agree.
which is a win-win.
Right. We are seeing, you know, on the domestic side, we're seeing the use of the same horizontal drilling that they're using for gas here. We're seeing that being used for oil in North Dakota. There's a significant increase in oil coming from North Dakota. So there's, you know, when you look at when we wrote the first energy plan, we were looking at imports of roughly 65%. Imports now are roughly around the 50% level.
Wow, that's amazing. Jeff, we're going to take a short break,
Okay.
and we'll come back here in just a few moments and wrap up this discussion. Thank you. We're going to take a short station break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Hope you've enjoyed the first part of the program here today. We've been talking with Jeff Herhold, Director of Division of Energy, talking about energy generally and also West Virginia's energy structure, energy portfolio. Jeff, a little while ago we were talking about the cost of electricity on a kilowatt hour. Or cost of a kilowatt based on the base fuel that's used
Sure.
to generate that electricity, and I think we were just singling out the state as being one of the low cost states, you know, nationally.
Sure, we certainly have seen the price of electricity increase, but people should keep in mind that we are still one of the low cost electricity states. This document, the Energy Blueprint with the map you see on the screen there, pegs West Virginia's average retail electric rates at 7.5 cents a kilowatt hour. That is within the lowest range of all the states, and that range goes up to a range of 13 cents to 25 cents. 25 cents being in the state of Hawaii. And there is a direct relationship between the percentage of coal used to generate the electricity and the price. The exception is in the Pacific Northwest, where you have electricity coming from the federal dams on the major rivers there.
Hydro.
Right? They've always had the advantage of having very affordable electricity through hydropower. But again, this is a good. This map is a pretty good depiction of the pain that everybody, let's say, is experiencing now. Though we truly are experiencing less pain than other states.
So to break this down, the more coal you have, like the state of West Virginia that has an excess of 90% coal-generated electricity. So the more coal you have, the lower your household and industrial power bill.
Sure. I mean, there are 30 states that use coal for at least 1/3 of their electric generation needs, and those states would have lower than average electric costs.
Now, we show the state's power plants here on the next page, the location of the state's plants. or a page or two over, and I understand that a couple of those plants will be closing because of the EPA's utility MAC rule.
Right. There are specific regulations designed to increase the or reduce the emission levels allowed for SOx, NOx, and mercury. And these older plants do not have stack gas scrubbers, low NOx burners that affords them the ability to get the pollutants out. They are all relatively small plants. The plants, the 6 plants in West Virginia that are targeted for closure represent over 2,000 megawatts. West Virginia has 14,000 megawatts of coal-based power. 2,000 of those megawatts are, let's say, targeted for a closure. These plants are the Albright plant, Kamer plant, Canal River plant, Phillipsborn, Reevesville, and Willow Island. Those 6 units account for over 2,000 megawatts. It's been roughly 14% of our generation capacity which would be closed.
And in some instances, these power plants will pick up some of those power needs from some of their other plants. But within these local communities, these plant closures, I mean, there's some real hardship going to be experienced.
Sure, and all of these plants are in small municipalities or adjacent to small municipalities. There will be a substantial impact on tax resources in those areas.
And with it, I know there's going to be some loss of mining jobs as well.
Mining jobs,
and
yes.
maybe that some of those jobs are transferred to other industries, maybe even other mining operations.
Right.
But there will be some real loss of an economic stream to these small West Virginia communities. And that's very unfortunate.
Sure.
You also have the Longview plant. And I know the Longview plant's one of the cleanest burning plants found anywhere in the country right now.